Okay, praise the Most High, Yah. All right, we have been studying Ezekiel, and we were studying the first 47 chapters. And of course, last night we went back into the new moons a little bit, some new revelations that have been revealed to me, and I shared them with you. We're going to continue in that vein as we're now studying the last chapter of the book of Ezekiel. And I want to review some things that we've been through already, but they are so important that I feel like we need to keep reviewing them. Let us look at Revelation chapter 7. Revelation chapter 7. Actually, let's go back to Revelation chapter 6 in the sixth seal. Revelation chapter 6, the sixth seal. Revelation 6. I'm going to start at verse 12 and read down to verse 17. Revelation chapter 6 from verse 12 to verse 17. Revelation 6, 12 through 17. I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. And every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? This is the sixth of seven seals that we have studied in the book of Revelation that correspond also to seven churches. And they parallel also seven churches, and they also parallel seven seals. And we talked about that. There's seven churches, seven seals, seven trumpets, and they parallel also the seven trumpets. Different events are taking place in each situation, and we're seeing, as we looked at the whole thing as a whole, we saw how and what is developing. Here in the sixth seal, as we saw, it corresponds to the sixth church, which is Philadelphia, which church we are in right now. We know right now we're in that church because we studied it in terms of the 2300-year prophecy of Daniel chapter 8. And then we studied Daniel chapter 9. And we came to the conclusion that in 1843/44, the Most High, through the Messiah, commanded Messiah to go from the holy place to the most holy place in the third heaven of the sanctuary in heaven, indicating that at that time there was going to be a cleansing or an atonement made for the chosen people at that time. There was a delay. See, at this point in 1844, the chosen people, who are the Negroes, were not prepared for the kingdom, coming out of slavery at that time, not prepared for the kingdom. Okay? In this, Revelation chapter 6, as we see, from verse 12 through 17, it appears to be a description of the return of Messiah and what will take place. The question is asked at the end of this description, who shall be able to stand? Many people don't understand why this question is asked. They don't understand what it means and its great significance. Brothers and sisters, the truth of the matter is we must be prepared to stand before the Father. We must be prepared to stand before Messiah. We have to be spiritually prepared to stand before them. Not everybody can just stand. You see, the redeemed will not be running from the Messiah. They'll be prepared to stand. And the preparation has to do everything with the seal of the Father's Spirit on his chosen people. His chosen people must first receive his Spirit as a seal. The Spirit of the Father is a representation of perfect righteousness, which Messiah in the flesh is a representation of. He's a representation of the Father's perfect righteousness. He's a representation of perfect obedience to the Father's commandments. That's what the Messiah is. Representation of perfect obedience to the Father's commandments. And the perfect obedience to the Father's commandments became a sin offering for you and me. He became a sin offering for you and me. The question was asked, who shall be able to stand? There is a people that the Most High is raising up, even now, that are being prepared to give a final message with a power that has never been seen on the earth since the days of the apostles, has never been seen on the magnitude that is going to be seen. When the apostles came, when you read in the book of Acts, when you read the letters of Acts, you see actually a parallel to what's getting ready to happen now. You see a parallel to what's getting ready to happen now. There needs to be an understanding of the feast, and there needs to be an understanding of the meaning of the feast, as we talked about also in the video we did about the feast, how each feast has a meaning in Messiah. Each feast has a meaning in Messiah. For example, Messiah is the Lamb of Yahweh that taketh away the sin of the world. The Lamb that was put to death, the Lamb of the first year without blemish, put to death for the Passover to protect the Israelite people. You guys are very well aware of that, I'm sure, that the Israelites were protected in Egypt by the blood of a lamb that was slain. The lamb had to be the first year without blemish. He had to be roasted in fire, put to death at sunset on the 14th day of the first month. Okay, that represented Messiah himself. Then there was at that time also the second day, which is this is two phases, two compartments of the same feast. Feast of unleavened bread is the same as the Passover. Many people get this confused out of ignorance, and it's okay. All of our eyes are being opened slowly. Those of us that love the Father and want to bring glory to him and him alone, he will reveal this in truth. But the truth is that the Feast of Unleavened Bread and the Passover are two parts of the same feast. In the 14th day of the month, Messiah is represented as the lamb, and he was slain on the 14th day of the month. The 14th day of the month in the year 31 AD, he was slain. The 15th day is the beginning of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. It is a Sabbath, and is followed by 7 days of feast with unleavened bread, representing our fathers that came out of Egypt in haste. They came out at midnight in haste. They killed the lamb that night, the day before, right there at sunset. And then that night at midnight, they were delivered. They were delivered. And the next day at sunrise, it was the 15th day, the sunset and sunrise, the 15th day, they were running out of Egypt. They didn't have time to put leaven in the bread. They didn't have time to bake any bread. They were out. In haste, they were out and they were free. So that the Feast of Unleavened Bread represents freedom and unleavened, freedom from sin. Testing 1, 2, 3. They were set free from sin through the Messiah. Then 7 days later, there was another Sabbath, the 22nd day of the month. After that Sabbath, the 22nd day of the month, the day after that, on the 23rd day of the month, that is the Hebrew month, the 23rd day of the month, the priest would wave an offering of the beginning of the barley harvest. And then they count 7 Sabbaths from there. And since we know it's by the moon phase, this is very easy. You have the 22nd of the month, the 23rd is the first day after the Sabbath. They count 7 Sabbaths. 22nd, then they go 29th, then they go 8th, then they go 15th, 22nd, 29th, 8th, 15th. And on the 16th day, which is the 50th day after the 7th Sabbath, which was on the 15th of the 3rd month, there's the Pentecost. How does that meet Messiah? If you recall, Messiah was raised on the 3rd day. The 3rd day, which was the day after the Sabbath, the day after the 22nd, he was raised on the 23rd of the 1st month. He was with his disciples, the Bible says, for 40 days. He was with his disciples for 40 days. And then he ascended into the 3rd heaven. And he told his disciples, I will return, and you will be where I am. You will be with me in the kingdom. Yeah. He left. And then 10 days later, 10 days later was the 16th day of the third month, when the day of Pentecost was fully come. Pentecost is a representation of the first fruits, the beginning of a harvest, the beginning of what would be a harvest, the first fruits. And they received the early rain. The apostles were sealed with the Father's Spirit in the early rain. That was the beginning. Then 2,300 days later, or 2,300 years, and this is what many people, I wanted to bring out today, many people mistake with prophecy. They don't follow the day-year principle that the Bible outlines in Numbers and in Ezekiel, which we studied. A day for a year in Bible prophecy. 2,300 days, 2,300 evening and mornings, 2,300 years. Later, 1844, 7th month, 15th day, 10th day of the month, Messiah enters into the most holy place to begin his work, his final work. Revelation chapter 7 from verse 1, Revelation chapter 7 from verse 1 down to verse 4, Revelation 7, 1 to 4. And after these things, that is, after he saw the question, who shall be able to stand? I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living Yahweh. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of Yahweh in their forehead. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. Let me stop here. You notice the angel in verse 2. He was ascending. I like to bring this out. Very important. There's a difference, as you know very well, between ascending and descending. Let me say that again. There is a difference between ascending and descending. When you're descending, what are you doing? You're coming down from a great height. Isn't that right? You're coming down. But when you're ascending, you're going up. This angel was ascending from the east. What does that mean? He had a seal in his hand. He had come down to seal the people in 1844. He was prepared. What does that mean? There's many implications to this. It means Father was ready. It means Messiah was ready. It means heaven was ready. All the angels were ready. So he comes down with the seal to put the seal on 144,000 of all the tribes of the nation of Israel. But we were still in chains, 1844. Still in slavery, 1844. What does he do? He takes the seal back and he ascends back where he came from with the seal. And as he's going back, he says, he calls out to 4 angels who are standing on north, south, east, and west corners of this planet. He calls back and he says, keep holding the winds until I come back and seal the servant. Hold the winds. Don't hurt the earth. Not yet. Which also implies the earth is going to be hurt badly, which is where we are right now. We revealed a ways back how Messiah announced on AD 27, if you recall, in Luke chapter 4, he announced a jubilee. He announced a jubilee, AD 27. If you didn't know anything in terms of what years the jubilee was, Messiah just gave us a waymark on AD 27 when he made that announcement. It was the same period, the same group of weeks in which he had just come from a 40-day fast, in which he was also baptized, which he also turned 30 years of age. Same group of time. Now, let us take a look very quickly at that jubilee, because we're being prepared, brothers and sisters. We are being prepared for that time. AD 2027. Watch it. We're being prepared for that time. I want you to notice the preparation that the Most High showed us book of Leviticus. Let us take a look. Leviticus chapter 23. Leviticus 23. We're being prepared, brothers and sisters. We're being prepared in perfect righteousness. Brothers and sisters, make no mistake. I don't want anybody to get it twisted. We must be sealed in the Father's righteousness to be prepared to meet Messiah. The Father's righteousness is perfect. We cannot make ourselves perfect, but indeed, the seal of Yah will perfect us. Indeed, it will. In order to receive that seal, we must be surrendered. We must be sold out to give glory to the Father. We must have all sin off of us. And he will help with that. In fact, he says he will do it for us if we allow him. Through the same divine righteousness he will put on us, cause us to overcome all our sin. It's all spiritual, brothers and sisters. It's about the Father's Spirit. When I say it, I mean this perfection of salvation is all about the Father's Spirit and all about surrendering our spirit to his. And in surrendering our spirit, we're surrendering our sinful nature. We have a naturally sinful nature. We are a human nature. It's natural human nature which causes us to sin. It's part of us. So what do? We surrender that in fasting and prayer to the Father, and we receive of the divine nature through Messiah. We receive of a divine nature. We're going to talk a lot more about this as we study Romans. We receive of a divine nature, and that's what's called born again. Born again. Leviticus chapter 23. Pay close attention to what I'm about to read, please. Leviticus 23. We're going to begin at verse 23. Going to begin at verse 23. I want to read verse 23 and verse 24. And verse 25 of Leviticus chapter 23. 23, 24, 25. Notice what it says. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel. Watch this very closely. Please pay attention. Why? Saying, in the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, ye shall have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. This was different than any other new month. Because this one now, every new month, they kept a feast. Every new month was a Sabbath. Every new month, right? The new moon, that's the new month, the new moon, the 1st day of the month, right? Everybody with me so far? The 1st day of the month, the new moon. That's what we studied last night, right? But this one was different because it was a holy convocation, but more than that, they made an offering unto Yahweh. Wait, let me ask you this question very quickly, if you don't mind. What did that offering represent? The offering they made there in the 1st day of the 7th month. What did that offering represent? Talk to me. Talk to me, family. What did it represent, the offering? The 1st day of the 7th. No. They offered an animal by fire. When they say offering by fire, that's an animal being offered. What did that represent? Let me give you something now. Anytime, listen carefully. Testing 1, 2, 3. Let's watch now. Anytime you read that there's an offering of an animal, you should always remember Messiah. Anytime you read about an offering of an animal, you must always remember Messiah. Always. Okay? Anytime. Okay? So now, wait. And when you're thinking of Messiah, when you're thinking of Messiah, always remember that it is through Messiah that we obtain what Kimmy just mentioned, righteousness. We obtain perfect righteousness from the Father only through Messiah. So here, in the 1st day of the 7th month, we always have a Sabbath the 1st day of the month. Every month, we have a Sabbath, 1st day of the month in the Hebrew, in the kingdom of the Yah. But this one was different. This one, they blew them trumpets. They always blow trumpets, but this one in the 7th month, they make an offering by fire. Why? they're preparing for something. They're preparing for something. Isn't that right? Testing 1, 2, 3. They're preparing for something. And they're preparing for something that requires the people being prepared to wear righteousness. It requires them to wear righteousness. They cannot have sin on them. They must be perfectly clean in the spirit. Testing 1, 2, 3. Must be clean in the spirit. Okay? That's the, wait, let me just make sure y'all got that. Y'all got it. It was the first day of the 7th month. The first day of the 7th month. The new moon. That's the new moon. The first new moon, that's the new moon of the 7th month. Everybody with me so far? All right? Okay? Good. Okay, let's continue. Watch this. Watch this. From verse 26, same Leviticus chapter 23, from verse 26, verse 27, verse 28, 29, 30. Shoot. Down to 32. All right? From verse 26 down to 32. Notice, watch carefully. I know these are a lot of words. Most High Spirit, please bless us by your grace. In the name of Messiah, Hawashah, who came for your glory as we seek your glory. Amen. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, also on the 10th day, the 10th day of this 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation unto you. Ye shall afflict your souls and offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. And ye shall do no work in that same day. For it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before Yahweh your most high. And whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people. And whatsoever soul it be that doth any work in that same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people. Ye shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest. Ye shall afflict your soul. In the 9th day of the month at even, from even unto even, shall ye celebrate your Sabbath. Now, I want to explain this to you. This test, I want to make sure you got this. This is the only time, aside from Pentecost, that the people are keeping a Sabbath that's not on the 7th day. Like all the other feasts take place on a Sabbath, like 7th-day Sabbath. But the Pentecost and this one, these are the only two that where they're keeping a Sabbath that's not on the 7th day. This is the 10th day of the month. The Sabbath be on the 15th day of the month. And it'd be on the 8th day of the month. So 2 days after the first Sabbath of the 7th month, they're keeping another Sabbath, the 10th day of the 7th month, Day of Atonement. So far, everybody with me? Testing 1, 2, 3. Everybody with me so far? This is the Day of Atonement now. What happens on the Day of Atonement? The reason he said whoever is not afflicted will be destroyed is because it's a representation of putting off all sin, not temporarily, putting off all sin forever and being sealed forever. Everybody got me? It's the symbol of that. And so when you are sealed in the spirit forever, once this, what happens now, the high priest goes into the most holy place of the sanctuary of the Most High, and he atones for all of the sins of the Israelites. I also want you to notice there's no Babylonian involved with this. There's no Englishman, there's no French, there's no German, there's no Russian, there's no African. Nope. This is only for Israelites and those in the camp. That's it. And they are receiving forgiveness of their sin, and they are being sealed. Got me? In the Day of Atonement. Now, that happens every single year. Now, I want you to notice, we talked about 1844, because everything has its meaning in Messiah. There's Messiah, messianic implications, everything. And what happened now? 1844, Messiah went into the most holy place to perform this very work. And he was going to come out after that, but he didn't. He was delayed. Why? Because the 144,000 were not prepared to be sealed. So he's now in a delay period as he's in the most holy place. And when he comes out, though, it's all over. Now, let me show you something. Let's turn to Leviticus, same Leviticus, chapter 25. Now, I want to just test you before we do that. Let me just make sure you are where I am on this right now. If you recall now, the 7th month, the first day of the month is blowing a trumpet, and there's a sacrifice of an animal. The 10th day of the 7th month, that is 9 days later, there's a day of atonement. Everybody got me? That's every year, 7th month, every year. Okay, everybody got that? Okay, now let's look at Leviticus 25. Leviticus 25, Leviticus chapter 25. Let us go in Leviticus 25. We're talking about in Leviticus 25, we're talking about the 7-year rest and the Jubilee. Yes, here it is. Okay. Leviticus 25 from verse 1 down to verse 10, and especially pay attention to verse 9. Leviticus 25 from 1 to 10, especially pay attention to verse 9. Watch this. Watch. And Yahweh spake unto Moses in Mount Sinai, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep a Sabbath unto Yahweh. 6 years thou shalt sow thy field, and 6 years thou shalt prune thy vineyard, and gather in the fruit thereof. But in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of rest unto the land, a Sabbath for Yahweh. Thou shalt neither sow thy field nor prune thy vineyard. In that which groweth of its own accord of thy harvest thou shalt not reap, neither gather the grapes of the vine undressed, for it is a year of rest unto the land. And the Sabbath of the land shall be meat for you, for thee, and for thy servant, and for thy maid, and for thy hired servant, and for thy stranger that sojourneth with thee. For thy cattle, and for the beasts that are in thy land, shall all the increase thereof be for me. And thou shalt number 7 Sabbaths of years unto thee, 7 times 7 years. And the space of 7 Sabbaths of years shall be unto thee 49 years. Watch verse 9 now. Watch this. Then shalt thou cause the trumpet of the Jubilee to sound when? On the 10th day of the 7th month, in the day of atonement, shall ye make the trumpet to sound throughout all your land. And ye shall hallow the 50th year, and proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. It shall be a jubilee unto you, and ye shall return every man to his possession, and ye shall return every man to his family. Stop. Did you notice it's the 10th day of the 7th month that the jubilee happens on the 50th year? Did you notice that? It's the 10th day of the 7th month in the 50th year. What else happened on the 10th day of the 7th month? If you recall, it was the Day of Atonement. So on the 50th year, on the Day of Atonement, it's a special Day of Atonement. It's a Day of Atonement where there's a jubilee. All debts are forgiven. All sin is forgiven. All land is restored to its rightful owners. Remember that. All land is restored to its rightful owners. Today we're getting ready to get into Ezekiel 48, where they divide the land. All land is restored to its rightful owners. Jubilee. Everybody got me so far? Wait a minute, I'm about to get deeper. I'm just warning y'all. And I'm not saying this to brag. I want you to be with me. I'm glad we're recording this, Most High. Please keep this recorded. Look, listen now. Remember now. In prophecy, a day is equal to what? In prophecy, a day is equal to what? In prophecy. A day is equal to a year. That's right. So, we said, I told you all just a few weeks ago that the next Jubilee is going to be 2027. Didn't I say that? 2027 is the next Jubilee. I told you that the last one was 1977, and the next one is 2027. And I believe it's the last one that we will have. It's, to me, that next one is an announcement that we're about to get our land back. Now, wait a minute. What day, though, in 2027? Well, now we know. It's the 7th month the 10th day of the month is the next Jubilee. Isn't that correct? The 7th month, 2027, the 10th day of the 7th month. Now, wait a minute. What happened? Let me just quiz you real quick. Before we just read it. Now, we just read this a few minutes ago. Let me see about your retention right now in the spirit, okay? Before the 10th day of the month, what took place? In the same 7th month, before the 10th day of the month, something else took place. Something else took place before that. Something else took place, right? What took place? Something took place before that on the 10th day of right. Oh, no. The atonement is the 10th day of the month. That's the 10th day. So what took place prior to the atonement? What took place? It took place prior to the atonement in the same month. We just read about it. We read about it in Leviticus 23. What took place? Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back. That's right. The trumpets. That's right. That's right. Let's go back. Look at it. Leviticus 23 from verse 23 to 25. Leviticus 23, 23 to 25. Notice what took place. This took place before the Day of Atonement, 7th month. Okay. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, watch now, in the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, right, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. And ye shall do no servile work therein, but shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. Remember that? So prior to the Jubilee, there is a blowing of trumpets. Prophetically speaking, that should happen 10 years before. 10 years before this last Jubilee. 10 years before, there should be a warning. If you go back 10 years, you know where you go? September 23rd, 2017. Wait, what date did I say? September 23rd, 2017. Go back and look at that date. September 23rd, 2017 was the first day of the month. Was the first day of the 7th month. September 23rd, 2017, the first day of the 7th month. A lot of people thought the end of the world was coming. If you remember that, you remember all that? September 23rd, 2017, a lot of people talking about the end of the world coming. This is the end of the world, it's all over. And you know, that wasn't right. But what did happen on September 23rd, 2017 was the blowing of trumpets, the last day before the final day of atonement, which happened 10 years later on 2027. 10th day of the month, 7th month, 2027. That's the last Jubilee. All debts are forgiven. What's going to happen then? What's going to happen? The 144,000 are going to be sealed. The people that are with them are going to be sealed in the spirit, just like the apostles were sealed in the early rain. It's the latter rain. The latter rain. Okay? Then what happened? What happened after that? If you recall, Revelation said the two witnesses, which are the tables of the covenant, which are represented in the message of righteousness by faith. The message of righteousness by faith represents the two witnesses, brothers and sisters, because they represent perfect obedience, perfect harmony to the two tables of the covenant. Okay, I know that might be a little deep for some of y'all, but that's what it is. I'll explain it again in a future study. But the two witnesses are not Elijah and Moses. The two witnesses are the two tables of the covenant, which are represented in the message of righteousness by faith, which 144,000 will give. At that time, there'll be a 3.5-year period, 42 months, 1,260 days, literal, at that time, where they'll be giving a message to the Hebrews that are still out in these churches, to the Hebrew first. After the end of 3.5 years, which would be AD 2031 in the spring, it'll be a final warning message to the heathen before the plagues fall. And then Messiah will return. Final warning message to the heathen, and then Messiah will return. Okay? So this is, we're really coming down to it. And I've been bending my brain, I've been bending my intellect, trying to wrap my head around the calendar. And I still don't get the whole calendar. I don't. I'm not lying to you. I do know it's a 360-day year. I do know the phases of the moon tell us what days it is, what Sabbaths it is, how many weeks it is. There's no question. But there's some other things I'm just not sure about. And I'm just not, and it's not because it's not truth, it's because I'm not there yet. It's just me. It's not it, it's me. Okay. But one thing I do know, there is a first month, there is a first moon, new moon of the month, no question. There is a 10th day of the month, no question. There is a day of atonement, no question. 144,000 are being prepared now, no question. Okay, no question. But we are at the end, brothers and sisters. That September 23rd, 2017 was a prelude to what's getting ready to come on the Jubilee 2027. It was a prelude. And then 5 days after the Day of Atonement. Y'all know what happened 5 days after the atonement? What happened 5 days after on the 15th day of the month? Let's look at it. So you got the first day of the 7th month, you got the 10th day of the 7th month, and then you got the 15th day. There's something else on the 15th day of the 7th month. What is that? Let's take a look. 15th day of the 7th month. Watch this. Watch this. 15th day of the 7th month. Leviticus chapter 23, Leviticus 23, from verse 39 down to verse 41. Leviticus 23, 39 to 41. Notice what it says. Watch carefully. This is the same 7th month. All this happening in the 7th month. Watch this. Also in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, that is the harvest, right? Ye shall keep a feast unto Yahweh 7 days. Watch this now. On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. 15th day of the 7th month. That's the two Sabbaths, 15th and 22nd. Okay? It's 2 Sabbaths right there in 8 days. 15th and 22nd. And ye shall take you on the first day boughs of goodly branches of palm trees, of boughs of thick of trees and willows of the brook, and ye shall rejoice before Yahweh your most high 7 days, and ye shall keep it a feast unto Yahweh 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever in your generations. Ye shall celebrate it in the 7th month. What does that represent? Passover was the death of Messiah. Feast of Weeks is the first fruits. Day of Atonement is the putting away of all sin and the receiving of righteousness. What is this here? Tabernacles. What's that? What's that? Where he talks about ye shall bring, he say, ye shall keep a feast. You gathered in all the fruit of the land. This is the return of the Messiah right here. Return of the Messiah right here. Okay? Return of the Messiah. Okay? What? Wait a minute. Let me show you something. A day for a year. If Day of Atonement, Jubilee is the 7th year, 2027, we can expect 5 years later we'll see the Messiah. A day for a year. 5 years later. 2032. Yeah, your brother's talking about that. 2032. We will see him. It's coming. Brothers and sisters, I'm saying it's coming. So much is being revealed to me. I'm trying to tell you. It's coming. We're now in the home stretch, brothers and sisters. We're now in the home stretch. 7th month. Now, wait. Let's go back to Revelation for a minute. Revelation chapter 7, where we was earlier. Let's go back. Remember now, the first day of the day of Feast of Tabernacles is a Sabbath, and the 8th day is a Sabbath, right? Okay. And they had palm branches in their hands to make booths out of them. Palm branches in their hands, right? Watch this. Watch this. Revelation chapter 7, from verse 9. From verse 9, Revelation 7, from verse 9 down to verse 12. Notice what it says. Revelation 7, 9 to 12. Watch. Revelation 7, 9 to 12. 144,000 received the seal. It's the 7th month. It's the Day of Atonement. They begin a message. They preach that message. They prepare the people. The people receive or don't receive. Then there's the last year and a half. And notice what happens after that. 7th month. 15th day of the month. And after this, I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes. And what did they have in their hands? Did you notice what they have in their hands? What do they have in their hands? Palms. That is, branches in their hands. They have branches in their hands. What is that telling you? It is the Feast of Tabernacles. Feast of Tabernacles. They have palms in their hands and cry with a loud voice, salvation to the Most High, to our Most High, which sitteth on the throne and unto the Lamb. And all the angels stood round about the throne, about the elders and the four beasts, and fell before the throne on their faces and worshiped Yahweh, saying, Amen. Blessing and glory and wisdom and thanksgiving and honor and power and might be to our Most High forever and ever. There it is. Okay, we're not finished. Wait a minute. Feast of Tabernacles, Messiah's returning, Feast of Tabernacles. Okay, that's the feast that he's returning on. Now, notice also a question is asked. There's the people with the palm branches, but then there's another group in the midst of them, another group. From verse 13 to verse 17, Revelation chapter 7, 13 to 17. Notice what it says. There's another group here. There's some other people, aside from the people with the palm branches. These are different. Notice what it says. You tell me, watch. One of the elders answered, saying unto me, what are these which are arrayed in white robes? Whence came they? And I said to him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said unto me, these are they which came out of great tribulation, and have washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore are they before the throne of Yahweh, and serve him day and night in his temple. And he that sitteth on the throne shall dwell among them. And they shall hunger no more. Remember, we talked about hungering. They shall neither thirst anymore, neither shall the sun light on them. Apparently, it got very hot for them, nor any heat. For the Lamb which is in the midst of the throne shall feed them and shall lead them unto living fountains of waters. And Yahweh shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. Who is he talking about? Who's this group of people that's in the midst of the people with the branches and the Feast of the Tabernacle? Who is this people that come through great tribulation? Who is this people? That's right. It's the 144,000. Notice also the seventh seal. The seventh seal, Revelation chapter 8, verse 1. The seventh seal, Revelation 8:1. Notice what it says. The seventh seal. And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. Silence, that would be the third heaven. Half an hour. You have to look at it in prophetic time. Okay? You have to look at it in prophetic time. I'm gonna go through some math with y'all for a second, okay? Bear with me if you don't like numbers. I'm gonna go through some numbers with you for a second, okay? Just to help you understand that this is the Feast of Tabernacles. We're gonna be keeping the Feast of Tabernacles on the sea of glass with the Father. Okay, watch this now. If a day is equal to a year, okay, in prophetic time, 1 day is 1 year. 1 day equals 1 year. Okay, everybody got that so far? In prophetic time, 1 day is 1 year. Okay, now. All right, excellent. A day is divided up into 24 hours, right? 1 day is 24 hours. 12 hours in the day, 12 hours in the night, and the equinox. 12 hours in the day, 12 hours in the night, 24 hours in the equinox. Okay, that's a day. Okay, everybody got that so far? All right. All right. Now, if you're talking about an hour, you're talking about 1/24th of a day, 1/24th, or 1/24th of a year, right? And a year, we said prophetically, is 360 days. So now, if you take 360 and you divide it by 24, you'll get 15. So 15 days represents one prophetic hour. 15 days represents one prophetic hour. Okay? 360 days divided by 24, which is one prophetic hour, 15 days. That's 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 15 days. a little over 2 weeks. So he says in the prophecy, though, it say half an hour, which is 7.5 days. 7.5 days is basically 8 days. And if you recall, when we read about the Feast of Tabernacles, it said the first day shall be a Sabbath, and what? The 8th day shall be a Sabbath. Remember that? It said the first day shall be a Sabbath, and the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. That's the Feast of Tabernacles. So all heaven is cleared out. Who's going to be up there? Nobody going to be up there because everybody's going to be here. All the angels of the kingdom, all the angels, everybody in the universe going to be here watching this event. That's why it's silent in heaven. Why it's silent? No, nobody's there. Everybody's here. Everybody's here. Yeah, everybody's here. Everybody coming to this one. This is a special Feast of Tabernacles. Everybody is here. This is to redeem. This is what everybody's been waiting for. From time sin came into existence. This is it right here. Feast of Tabernacles. So you see, the 144,000 are being prepared. All of us also being prepared so that we can receive the seal of Yah, which is coming in less than 10 years. And we can give a message to the people that are still out here in all of these Babylonian churches to warn them to come out. At the end of 3.5 years, we're going to be persecuted. We're going to have to stop our ministry. And then that's the last message given to the heathen. They have 1.5 years and it's all over. It's coming. Brothers and sisters, it's coming quick. It's coming quick. Y'all know, coming quick, man. So now, after that, in the Day of Atonement, when the final Jubilee is given, it's now time for all land to be restored to their original owners. And that's what takes us to Ezekiel chapter 48. Ezekiel chapter 48. That's what takes us to Ezekiel 48. So let's go back now. Ezekiel 48. And last night we stopped off at verse 11. Was it? Let me see. No, verse 13 we stopped off last night. Let's start again, though, from verse 11 of Ezekiel 48, talking about the dividing the land. They're dividing the land because now the land, in heaven, they make the announcement. Y'all are sealed. He pours his spirit. He will pour his Holy Spirit of divine righteousness on us. We'll be prepared, assuming we've been faithful, We'll be prepared, and then he'll announce we're going to get our land back. It's time. It's time to get our land back. Okay? So Ezekiel chapter 48 now is being divided. Ezekiel 48 from verse 11. Let's go from verse 11 down to verse 19. From verse 11 down to verse 19. It shall be for the priests that are sanctified of the sons of Zadok, which have kept my charge, which went not astray when the children of Israel went astray, as the Levites went astray. And this oblation of the land that is offered shall be unto them a thing most holy by the border of the Levites. If you recall also, brothers and sisters, in Revelation chapter 7, you go back, it said they shall serve in his temple. These 144,000 are representing priests in the kingdom. They shall serve Yahweh in his temple. And notice here it says, it shall be for the priests sanctified sons of Zadok, which is sons of righteousness. Okay, sons of righteousness. Okay, thing most holy by the border of the Levites. And it said they went not astray when the rest of the Levites went astray. These are the 144,000. Notice again. And over against the border of the priest, the Levites shall have 25,000 in length and 10,000 in breadth. All the length shall be 25,000 in breadth and 10,000. And they shall not sell of it, neither exchange nor alienate the first fruits of the land, for it is holy unto Yahweh. And 5,000 that are left in the breadth over against the 25,000 shall be a profane place for the city, for dwelling, for suburbs, and for the city shall be in the midst of. Now, when it says profane in verse 15, I don't want you to think negative. It's like, think of it like this. It's a buffer. You know, sometimes when two people have land, they have a piece of land between them that's a buffer between my land and your land. Like nobody builds on it. It's a buffer. You guys following what I'm saying? So when it says in verse 15, profane place, that's what it's talking about. It's a buffer between the land that's belonging to the priest and everything else. See? So that's what that 5,000 cubits of breadth if that's against the 25,000 cubits of breadth, that's a buffer. It's a buffer, okay? And these shall be measures thereof: the north side 4,500, and the south side 4,500, and the east side 4,500, and the west 4,500. That's again, these are cubits. These are the sides of the city. And if you know the sides of the city, a cubit's a foot and a half. You take 4,500. Basically, each side of the city is a little over a mile long. A little over a mile long. Okay, each side of the city. It's a little over a mile long. Praise the Most High, yeah. Okay, let's continue. 17, and the suburbs of the city shall be toward the north 250, and toward the south 250, and toward the east 250, and toward the west 250. And the residue in length over against the oblation of the holy portion shall be 10,000 ephod and 10,000 westward. It shall be over against the oblation of the holy portion, and the priests and the increase thereof shall be for food unto them that serve the city. And they that serve the city shall serve it out of all the tribes of Israel. And this is what I want y'all to understand. All the tribes of Israel have Levites in them. All the tribes have Levites in them. Okay, all the tribes. They you know. But the high priest is in Jerusalem, and the sons of Aaron that handle the offerings are in Jerusalem. Okay, and all the priests go up to Jerusalem every year for the sacrifices. All the priests from all the tribes. Okay, with everybody else. Praise the Most High. Okay, let's continue. Ezekiel chapter 48, going from verse 20. From verse 20, let's read from verse 20 down to verse 28. All the oblation shall be 5 and 20,000 by 5 and 20,000. Ye shall offer the oblation 4 square with the possession of the city. And the residue shall be for the prince on the one side, and on the other side of the holy oblation, and of the possession of the city over against 5 and 20,000 of the oblation toward the east border, and westward over against the 5 and 20,000 toward the west border, over against the portions for the prince. It shall be the holy oblation, and the sanctuary of the house shall be in the midst thereof. Moreover, from the possession of the Levites, and from the possession of the city being in the midst of that which is the prince's, between the border of Judah and the border of Benjamin, shall be for the prince. As for the rest of the tribes, from the east side unto the west, Benjamin shall have a portion. And by the border of Benjamin from the east side unto the west side, Simeon shall have a portion. And from the border of Simeon from the east side unto the west side, Yishakar shall have a portion. And from the border of Yishakar from the east side unto the west side, Zababalan shall have a portion. And by the border of Zababalan from the east side unto the west side, Gad shall have a portion. And from the border of Gad unto the south side, even southward to the border shall be even to Tamar unto the rivers of strife in Kadesh, and the river toward the great sea. This is okay. Stop right here. So now this is the land divided. The land is divided. In the middle of the land is the city, Jerusalem, where the tree of life is, and the 12 manner of fruits are, where the river of life flows from it, and the 12 tribes have their land. And this land is given to them by promise from the Most High. The Day of Atonement and the Day of Jubilee, all land is given back to the original owners. The land is already divided. The Most High now is telling us at that time, we're going to be getting back our land. 3.5 years later, he's given the nation of Israel a chance to come back to the truth, a chance to come out of paganism, a chance to come before these plagues start to fall. The message is going to be given where the power has never been seen on that level on the earth. With 144,000, has never been seen on that level. It's going to become, brothers and sisters, this is why, above all things, receiving the Father's Spirit in truth and righteousness is the most important thing. It's the most important thing of anything, brothers and sisters, of anything. It will cause us to be prepared and ready. It will cause us to inherit the land. Not only that, the 144,000 are used for sign. They are a sign. When you see them come forth, they're a sign. They're bringing in, they're ushering in Messiah. See, as Yachanan the Baptist ushered in the first advent of Messiah, so the 144,000 will be ushering in the last advent of Messiah. They'll be the ones that usher in the bridegroom. Praise the Most High Yah. Notice again, Ezekiel chapter 48, from verse 29 down to verse 35. Ezekiel 48, 29 to 35. Notice what it says. This is the land which ye shall divide by lot unto the tribes of Israel for an inheritance. These are their portions, said the Most High Yahweh. And these are the goings out of the city on the north side, 4,500. See, these are the walls of the city. And the gates of the city after the names of the tribes of Israel. See, this is where they put in the gates. In Ezekiel, they actually show you the names on the gates. In Revelation, they tell you the names that are there. They tell you the names are there, but they don't actually tell you. Ezekiel is actually naming the names. So this is, and he's naming what side of the city it's on. So here, on the north side of the New Jerusalem, 4,500 measures, a mile long, a little over a mile in length. It says, the gates of the city shall be after the names of the tribes of Israel, 3 gates northward. So we know on the north side of the city, 1 gate of Reuben, the middle gate is Judah, and 1 gate of Lewi on the north side of the city. It's a mile long. It's a little over a mile long. It's over a mile long, actually. It's over a mile long. Okay. Probably more like okay. It's more like a mile 0.1, mile 0.2. It's yeah. Notice again. Verse 32. At the east side, 4,503 gates. 1 gate Joseph, middle gate Benjamin, 1 gate Dan. Joseph, Benjamin, Dan. Benjamin middle gate on the east side. Verse 33. South side, 4,500 measures and 3 gates. 1 gate Shimon, 1 gate Yeshakar, middle gate Yeshakar, 1 gate Zabawalam, 3 gates. On verse 34, on the west side, 4,500 with their 3 gates. 1 gate Gad, middle gate Ashar, 1 gate Naphtali. Watch this, verse 35. And it was round about 18,000 cubits. 18,000 cubits, brothers and sisters, which is 27,000 feet. 27,000 feet. 27,000, a little over 5 miles around is the city. A little over 5 miles. And the name of the city shall be, Yahweh is there. Yahweh is there. Praise the Most High. And you remember Revelation, as we close here, notice Revelation chapter 21. Revelation chapter 21, Yahweh is there. Revelation 21, verses 22 down to 27. Revelation 21, 22 to 27. And I saw no temple therein. For Al Shaddai, Yahweh Al Shaddai, and the Lamb are the temple of it. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of Yahweh did lighten it. And the Lamb is the light thereof. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. And there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. Praise the Most High Yah. Brothers and sisters, we are truly in the final stages here. We are in the final stages of the return of the Messiah, of the establishment of the kingdom. These next 10 years are going to be extremely important in our development, brothers and sisters. These are the last 10 years until the seal comes. And then the final message is going to be given. We're being prepared. We have to be prepared for the final message. Messiah, the disciples said to the Messiah before he left, they said, Master, will you, or Adani, will you at this time restore the kingdom to Israel? And he said, Unto them he said, it is not for you to know the times and the seasons which the Father hath in his own power. But he said, you, that is the apostles, you shall receive power. After that, the set apart spirit is come upon you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me, unto Judea, unto Samaria, and unto the othermost parts of the earth. There's a preparation to receive power. You see, he said, tarry at Jerusalem till you receive power. Same thing now. You and I, we're in our enemy's land, and he's getting ready to pour power on his people. Power is going to bring forth a message which was shown in a small way, really, on the day of Pentecost in the early rain, but it's going to be shown in a mighty way in these last times, before the harvest, brothers and sisters, and before the plagues come and hurt the earth. Let us be prepared. Let us do everything we can to be ready, brothers and sisters. Let us surrender everything. Never mind money, never mind position, never mind all these churches, these religions. Brothers and sisters, let us relinquish our spirit, our sinful spirit, and ask the Father to give us of his spirit, his divine spirit of righteousness and truth, that we might represent him on the earth, that we might bring honor and glory to his name. Let's have a word of prayer.